He built one of the most looked-at bodies on the internet. 63 million people watched a single video of it. On the 7th of July, 2026, that body was pulled from a lake outside Bangkok, 66 feet from shore. He was a strong, healthy swimmer, and the police were right there watching. So why did he keep swimming away from them, into the dark, until he couldn't come back? His name was Connor Murphy. For a decade, he was one of the most famous fitness creators alive, the shirtless prankster, the flexing stranger in the gym, the man who turned his own reflection into an empire of 2.5 million followers. He spent his whole life chasing one idea, that if you could just make the outside perfect enough, the inside would finally feel okay. This is the story of what that chase cost him. Not a horror story someone made up. Every detail you are about to hear was reported by Thai police, international news, and the people who were there. And it ends with a question even the coroner cannot yet answer. The boy who hated the mirror. Connor Murphy was born on the 7th of December, 1993, in Austin, Texas. By every account, he was not the confident giant the internet would later meet. Friends and family described a quiet, analytical, introverted kid, a boy who struggled with low self-esteem and real social anxiety all through his early school years. He was uncomfortable in his own skin, in the most literal way. And then, as a teenager, he found the thing that seemed to fix it: the weight room. Lifting wasn't a hobby for Connor. It was medicine. It was the first thing that ever made the anxiety quiet down. He later said that building his body was really about building the courage to exist. Remember that, because everything that comes after grows from this single root, a frightened kid who discovered that changing his body could change how he felt inside. The trick. In 2016, that root exploded into fame. Connor uploaded a video called The Fake Shirt Trick. The concept was simple and genius. He'd walk up to strangers in an unzipped hoodie, apparently wearing a bright t-shirt underneath, then rip the hoodie open to reveal there was no shirt at all. It was just his bare chest, body painted to match the fabric, muscles suddenly exposed in the middle of a crowded street. The reactions were priceless. The illusion was flawless. And the internet lost its mind. That one clip pulled in more than 63 million views. Overnight, Connor Murphy was a star. He leaned all the way in public flexing stunts, fitness social experiments, prank after prank. He competed as a bodybuilder, placing third in the men's physique class at the NPC Dallas Europa Games. He signed a supplement sponsorship, launched his own clothing line, and blew past 2 million subscribers. The anxious boy from Austin had become, quite literally, one of the most looked-at men on the planet. The outside was perfect now. The question was whether the inside had caught up. The perfect lie. Here is where the first crack appears. Connor had always sold himself as a natural athlete, no steroids, just discipline. It was a huge part of the brand. But in 2019, a well-known fitness analyst publicly tore that claim apart, pointing to Connor's rapid hair loss and physique as evidence of performance-enhancing drug use. The fitness world has a cruel nickname for people accused of this: fake natty. Connor denied ever using anabolic steroids. But he did admit, to another creator, that he had used other performance-enhancing compounds, the ones called SARMs. It was a small confession, but it mattered because it revealed the machinery under the illusion. The perfect body wasn't just paint and lighting anymore. It was chemistry. And Connor was already learning that the pursuit of the flawless self had a price you paid in your own bloodstream. The turn. Around 2020, the man everyone knew began to disappear. The pranks stopped. In their place came something stranger and quieter: videos about spirituality, philosophy, meditation, consciousness, biohacking. His fans were confused. Some were worried. And they were right to be. During the lockdown and the year that followed, Connor suffered a severe mental health crisis. It was serious enough that he was hospitalized. He never formally quit YouTube, but he vanished for long stretches, surfacing now and then with reflective, sometimes unsettling videos about his inner life. The message underneath had inverted. For years, he'd told the world the outside was everything. Now he seemed to be searching, desperately, for something the mirror had never given him. This is the flinch you should feel coming. The confidence had always been a costume, and the man underneath it was in real trouble. Looksmaxxing. To understand his final chapter, you have to understand the world he became a face of a movement called Looksmaxxing. It sounds harmless, even silly. At its softest, it just means self-improvement. Skincare, grooming, good clothes, going to the gym. But Looksmaxxing didn't start in a gym. It began years ago in the darkest corners of the internet, incel and manosphere forums, where men taught each other that their entire worth, their whole future, came down to the genetic quality of their face and body. By the early 2020s, it had flooded TikTok and reached millions of teenage boys. And in its extreme forms, it stops being skincare. It becomes steroids, plastic surgery, bone shaving, even having your legs surgically broken and stretched to gain a few inches of height. Psychologists warn that the culture rates human beings like livestock, and that it drives body dysmorphia, depression, and worse in the young men who fall into it. This was the movement Connor Murphy spent his last years attached to, the man who had proven, at 63 million views, that you really could change your life by changing your face. He was living proof of the promise. He may also have been living proof of the cost. The last week. In the summer of 2026, Connor was in Thailand, staying at a luxury rental home in the Bangkok district, just outside Bangkok, with his 22-year-old girlfriend. On the 3rd of July, he posted to Instagram for what would be the last time. 4 days later, everything came apart. And the details of those final hours are so strange that when the police first described them, people assumed the story had been exaggerated. It had not. The last hour. It began, as these things often do, with a phone call to the police, but not the call you'd expect. Neighbors and estate staff were reporting a foreign man behaving erratically and reporting that the rental property had been badly damaged. Then the witnesses started filling in the picture. A hired driver told investigators that Connor had climbed into his vehicle and tried to hand him 1,000 baht, but the driver, unsettled by how Connor was acting, refused the money and would not take him in. Connor then approached another passing car, asking for a ride into the estate. A security guard, watching all of this, warned that second driver not to stop. Something was very clearly wrong. Out on the street, Connor grew more and more agitated. Witnesses saw him shouting. They saw him rolling on the pavement. And then they described a detail that is hard to shake. He went still, lifted his hands toward the sky, and appeared to be praying. The water. When officers from the Bang Fly station arrived, Connor did not calm down. One of the police lieutenants on scene put it plainly. When we arrived, he became agitated with the officers and refused to let anyone approach him. Then, the same officer said, it happened without warning. Connor suddenly jumped into the lake and started swimming. He did not swim to escape and climb out the other side. He swam out. Away from every hand reaching for him, out toward the middle of the water, minute after minute, until the strength that had made him famous finally failed. He slipped beneath the surface. Specialist divers were called in. It took them roughly half an hour to find him, and they recovered his body about 20 meters, 66 feet, from the shore. The most photographed body on fitness YouTube, gone, in a lake most of his followers will never see. The room. Then the investigators went inside the house. And what they found is the image from this story that will stay with you. The luxury rental had been torn apart, with damage reported in the local Thai press at an estimated 22 million baht. But it was the paint that stopped them. The home was covered, splashed, drenched in black and yellow paint, across the walls, across the floors, even over the electrical appliances. In his vehicle, police found 2 unused syringes and a number of unidentified white pills. No note, no explanation. Just a trashed house painted in 2 colors, a car with needles in it, and a man in the lake who had prayed to the sky before he swam into it. Every instinct you have right now is trying to fill that silence with an answer. Hold on to that instinct, because it's exactly where we have to be honest with you. The truth. Here is the line between what is known and what is not, and it matters. What is confirmed? Connor Murphy died by drowning in front of police after a period of extreme erratic behavior. That is fact. It is confirmed that the house was damaged and paint covered, and that syringes and unidentified pills were found in his vehicle. Also fact. And it is confirmed that in their initial examination, Thai authorities found no signs of foul play, no evidence that another person harmed him. Now here is what is not known, no matter what a headline or a comment section tells you. We do not know what was in those syringes, or those pills, or whether Connor had taken anything at all. An autopsy and a full toxicology screen have been ordered, and as of this recording, the results are not back. We do not know if this was a drug reaction, an untreated mental health crisis breaking through, a medical event, or some collision of all three. Anyone claiming certainty right now is guessing on top of a man's grave. The only honest word for what happened in that house is unexplained. The report is still sealed. Think about the whole shape of this life. A frightened, anxious boy in Austin who decided that if he could only make the outside perfect, the fear inside would finally stop. He made it more perfect than almost anyone alive. 63 million views, millions of followers, a body people paid to look at. And in his final minutes, that same man tore his sanctuary to pieces, painted it black and yellow, prayed in the middle of a public street, and swam away from every person trying to save him. The outside had been perfected. The inside was drowning the whole time. So tell me where you land. Drop a red circle in the comments if you believe the toxicology report will explain all of this, that there's a chemical answer waiting in a lab. Drop a white circle if you believe no report will ever truly explain what happened in that house, that some part of this stays dark forever. And then sit with the harder question, the one that should keep you up, which is scarier, that something got into Connor Murphy and did this to him, or that nothing did, and this is simply where the chase for the perfect self can end.